So we're back with the Moncton Tigers once again here, and you're going to notice it's all 0 overall players, except one of these 0 overall players is different than every other 0 overall player. And which player is that? Jimmy Hernandez. Now what's special about a guy like Jimmy Hernandez? He has high franchise potential. We're starting with a 0 overall with high franchise potential, and we're going to try to turn this guy into an absolute star. Over the next 10 seasons, we're going to rebuild the Moncton Tigers alongside Jimmy Hernandez. We're going to turn him into a star player, and we're going to win him some Stanley Cups. So with every player being a 0 overall, obviously Jimmy Hernandez isn't going to have too much to work with here. Like, he has nothing to work with whatsoever. But don't worry, we're going to sign a couple guys in free agency, a couple 81, 82 overall players. We're going to put them alongside Jimmy Hernandez, and we're going to make sure that he develops correctly. Because if he's playing alongside only 0 overall players, he's going to have a real tough time developing. Now, who is available in free agency? Well, there certainly isn't any superstars, but there are some decent players. One of those players being Jonathan Toews. We're going to bring him onto the team for 1 year. You know what? We're actually going to do a 2-year deal with him, because if he's going to be playing top line minutes, you never know, he might develop into an 85 overall, and then at $1.8 million, that's going to be a steal when we trade him away. So Jonathan Toews, you're going to be joining the team here. Danny DeKeyser, we could use a defenseman, so you're going to be that guy for us. Here's $900K for next season. Of course, we have to bring Phil the Thrill Kessel to the team. There's not even a debate about that one. It's going to be $1.2 million for the next 2 for Phil the Thrill. And then we'll bring one other defenseman to the team. You know what? We need a right defenseman. But who's going to be? Anton Strawman. Why don't you be the guy for us? 37 years old, only a 73 overall. But you know what? You're better than a 0 overall player, so why not? So here's $900K for this season. And you know what? Since we're going through the effort of bringing free agents to the team, Brian Elliott, we're bringing you in on a 1-year deal. It's going to be $800K for 1 season. You're going to be holding it down for us. So after making all those amazing signings, what's our team looking like? Well, it's going to be Jonathan Toews, Jimmy Hernandez, and Hendry on the first line. Now you might be wondering, where's Phil the Thrill Kessel? Where's Anton Strawman? Where is Danny DeKeyser? Yeah, all of them said our team is so incredibly bad, they'd rather not play. These boys really said, nah, we'd rather stay as free agents than sign for your team. So you know what? I guess the only player we're going to bring to the team here is going to be Jonathan Toews playing alongside Jimmy Hernandez. What could possibly go wrong with this team? Now this season was certainly one for the history books. Obviously, we didn't win a single game here, and obviously we didn't score any goals. But when you look at the stats of this team, it's very funny. You know why? Because McGrew is going to lead the way with 0 points as a 71 overall. Who is this man? So let's go find out who this guy is. Jonathan Toews is the only player that shows up. He was minus 524. McGrew, I have no clue who you are. I don't know what you're doing. Shout out to Jonathan Toews, though. He took 1 shot this season. But yeah, I couldn't tell you where everyone else is. I guess nobody showed up. But it's no surprise the Moncton Tigers were an absolute disappointment. The Dallas Stars can be Stanley Cup champions. But the real question is, what overall is Jimmy Hernandez now? Like, we do have to remember, bro has high franchise potential. I don't know what all these players are doing on our main roster. None of them played for us this season. So I guess we have to go look in the system. And what are we looking at here? Jimmy Hernandez, 43 overall with high franchise potential. Our man's is growing up right here. Look at these stats. 72s across the board in his puck skills. His senses still really bad. His shooting atrocious. His defense actually isn't awful. He's a somewhat competent defensive player so far. His skating still really bad, but his physicals, he's a somewhat physical player. So Jimmy Hernandez, you're heading in the right direction here. Are you going to turn to a superstar? Of course you are. I have full belief you're going to be able to do so. Now, if you watched my last video, you know I got so incredibly lucky with the amount of franchise potential players that went number 1 overall. So it only makes sense for me to drop from the number 1 overall pick to number 3. You know what? I'm actually not that mad about that, considering what happened in the last video. Now, in saying that, if there is a franchise potential player projected number 1, I am making a trade here, but it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. We're probably going to be bringing Caden Lindstrom to the team. So we'll simulate to the 3rd overall pick here. Ideally, Caden Lindstrom's still available. It looks like he will be, and that's what we're going to select here. Caden Lindstrom always turns into an amazing player in these simulations, so I'm happy to bring him to the team. So like usual, in season number 1, the drafting is not really looking that good for us. So a 5th, 6th, and 7th round pick is going to be sent over to Anaheim, and we're going to get a future 2nd round pick. Just kidding, we're getting a future 3rd and 4th rounder. So we're going to trade a 5th, 6th, and 7th over to the Ducks, and we're getting a 3rd and 4th rounder. You know what? That's a pretty good deal. So when it comes to this rebuild, there's actually one thing I haven't mentioned, that Jimmy Hernandez, when it comes to his development, it's going to be the slow grind. So you know what? It doesn't make sense that I just go ahead and sign all the best players here in free agency. Instead, we're only going to be allowed 3 free agent signings per offseason. I can make as many trades as I want, but when it comes to free agency, only 3 per year. So that means I got to make sure that I'm utilizing the right free agent signings. So what are we going to do? Patrick Kane, I'm going to give you $12 million for 1 season. Hopefully that's going to be enough to persuade you to come to this team. Joe Pavelski, I'm going to sign you for 1 season. We'll do $10 million for 1 year. And then the plan with these two guys, pretty clear. We're going to trade them away at the deadline. But when it comes to this next player, honestly, I just don't want to be losing every single game 20-0, 21-0. So Stolar is going to bring you to the team here. It's going to be $1.9 million for the next 2 years. Now with these free agent signings complete, let's see if we can make a trade. So with us being as bad as we are, of course, our second round pick is going to have a bit of value. So I'm going to capitalize with that. Our second round pick, a third rounder from the Ducks and a fourth rounder from the Ducks, is going to be sent over to the LA Kings. And we're going to bring Mikey Anderson to the team. Mikey Anderson, he's going to be a great defensive defenseman for us. A second round pick does have quite a bit of value because we are going to be one of the worst teams in the entire league. But now we're getting an amazing defenseman on an amazing contract. So I like that deal. So this is what the team's going to be looking like for year number 2. It's going to be Joe Pavelski, Patrick Kane, and Jimmy Hernandez on the first line. Then we're going to see 2 of our rookies on the second line, one of them being Kane Lindstrom. And then in between those 2 rookies, we're going to see Jonathan Toews. When it comes to the bottom 6, we're going to see a bunch of stick on the ice legends here. And if you want to see your name in a future video, then make sure you become a stick on the ice legend, a channel member. The link's going to be down below in the description. So shout out to all these channel members right here. And you know what? Shout out to Mikey Anderson as well. He's going to be holding it down for the defense. And then when it comes to goaltending, who are we going to see here? It's going to be Anthony Stolarz and then Storm Wolf. Storm Wolf, I'm not really expecting too much from you. I'm going to be completely honest. The only thing you have going for you is you have a 41 in poise. So yeah, we'll see what happens there. But Stolarz, just try to have a goals against below 6. Now, given what expectations were, this is definitely a success for us. We got 1 point so far, 1 overtime loss. We've scored 36 goals, only allowed 518. The goals against is above 8. Now, Stolarz, it's not the greatest sign considering I wanted below 6 from you. But hey, we're working with what we got here. Jimmy Hernandez so far has 3 points, 2 goals, 1 assist. He's up to a 51 overall now, so he does continue to develop here. But I am a bit concerned. I was kind of hoping you'd be a 60 overall by this point. But you know what? That's perfectly fine. This team's about to get massive upgrades. Joe Pavelski, you're on the trade block. Patrick Kane, you're on the trade block, and both of you guys are about to get traded away. So the Florida Panthers just offered this package to me, and I'm going to hear it out. Sergei Bobrovsky, but we also get a second and third round pick. Now, how much value does Sergei Bobrovsky actually have? Because I would be willing to flip Sergei Bobrovsky to another team at 50% retained, and I think that's what we're going to do here. So Joe Pavelski, you're going to be sent over to the Florida Panthers, and I'm actually going to retain half of Joe Pavelski's contract, and then we'll get a few more assets as well. So if I retain half of the Joe Pavelski contract, can I get Aaron Kiviharju in this deal as well? He'd be a good defenseman for us. They're saying no to that. They're actually insulted. That doesn't make any sense. Like if I take out Kiviharju and just give you Joe Pavelski, you're willing to say yes to this deal? I don't really understand what happened there, but you know what? We vibe. So this is what we're going to do with Bobrovsky. I'm going to retain 50% of his contract for the next 2 years, and we're going to pick up Logren for the next 6 at a 4.4 cap hit. That's actually really good for us. Unfortunately, Toronto's saying no to this, but I think if we include one of those picks we got from Florida, we actually might be able to get this done. So if I give you Florida's third round pick, is that going to be enough for Logren here? They're saying no, but it's just a bit low. So basically, we turn Joe Pavelski into not only a second round pick, but also Lilligren. So I think that's definitely worth it. But we're still not done yet because Patrick Kane, you still have to be traded away. Now, I don't think we're going to be able to get all these assets right here, but I'm still going to try. Patrick Kane at 50% retained over to the Devils. We get John Marino, we get Dawson Mercer, and a second round pick. I think it's almost impossible for us to get all of this. I'll take out that second round pick and then hopefully we can get this done. I mean, at the end of the day, how much do I really care about Dawson Mercer? Not that much. Like, if anything, I don't even know why I was trying to trade for Dawson Mercer. We know that guy's bad vibes. But how about we get Alexander Holtz instead? Holtz sometimes develops into a decent enough player, and if he's playing second line minutes, there's a good chance for that to happen. They're going to say no to that. What if I give you a third round pick? So I'll give you our third round pick for 2026, and I think that should be enough for us to get these 2 assets. They're going to be saying no to that, but you know what? The lucrative 7th round pick always makes the difference. So John Marino and Alexander Holtz both are going to be joining the team here. That's going to be a nice addition to the team for sure. The defense has already seen 2 massive upgrades here, but over the offseason, we're going to make a couple more moves, and we're going to make this team even better. So to finish out the season, I don't think it's much of a surprise we didn't win any games here. We didn't even lose any more games in OT, so we just finished with a 0-81-1 record. But you know what? 44 goals is something. Like, you have to admit, 44 goals is 44 goals. Lilligren, I know for a fact you sucked with this team. Holtz, I know you sucked with this team. Everyone sucked here. But Jimmy Hernandez, look at that. 5 goals, 2 assists, 7 points, up to a 56 overall. Let's pick up the progression here, Jimmy. I need you to be at least a 60 overall by now. But you know what? It's the slow grind here. Holtz, you didn't have a goals against below 6. It was actually just above 6. 6.04. Like, if you didn't allow 2 additional goals, you probably would have been below 6. But you know what? That's just the way it goes around here. The team's headed in the right direction. The Florida Panthers are Stanley Cup champions. Shout out to Joe Pavelski. He's going to be winning a cup. I mean, you'll love to see it. Joe Pavelski's finally getting a Stanley Cup right before he retires. That's some good vibes. That's something we can definitely celebrate here. But you know what? The Moncton Tigers, being one of the worst teams in the entire league, should get the first overall pick. And we're dropping to 3 once again. why am I not surprised? So we got ourselves the 3rd overall pick here. You know what? There's some great options. We can get this two-way defenseman right here, or we go for a guy like Roger McQueen or Michael Misa. I really don't think you go wrong with any of these playmakers right here. I don't really want this right defenseman. We already have a couple on the team. So do I take Roger McQueen or do I take Michael Misa? In the last video, we took Michael Misa. So you know what, Roger McQueen, I'll bring you to the team. I really don't think there's much of a difference when it comes to overall. I think it might be a 1 overall jump. Michael Misa might be a 78 overall. No, he's a 77 as well. So yeah, it's basically the same difference right here. All right, so this might be the worst draft of all time. Like, even in the 2nd round, there's no good prospects. I'm talking about AHL potential players here. So yeah, we're not wasting any picks. The 34th overall and the 67th overall is going to be sent over to the Boston Bruins, and we're going to get their 1st round pick for next season. They're saying no to that, but here's the 6th round pick as well, and there we go, we got their 1st round pick. And then after making that trade, I'll package up the 100th overall and the 133rd overall. We'll make a deal with the Buffalo Sabres here and ideally bring in their 2nd round pick. I don't think we're going to be able to get their 2nd round pick. I can almost guarantee we're not getting the 2nd round pick from them. But you know what, we'll get a 3rd rounder. So let's see if we can get a 3rd and 4th round pick. I don't think we can get both of these draft picks, but you know what, you never know. It doesn't look like they're going to be saying yes to that. I'll take out the 4th round pick and I'll get this deal done. I could have just given up a 6th round pick and got that last deal done, but you know what, we're getting a 3rd rounder here. The 4th rounder doesn't really hold that much value. So when it comes to making a couple re-signings here, Holtz is the only guy looking for an extension, and of course I'm going to lock him down long term here. We're going to do 2.75 for the next 8 years, exactly what he's looking for. Okay, so I have to mention something before we head into this season. Leon Draisaitl just signed a contract with the Edmonton Oilers. He's getting $14 million for the next 8 years. Shout out to Draisaitl, he secured the bag. However, he didn't have that contract signed before I started this video. I think you know where I'm getting at with this. Leon Draisaitl, welcome to the team. I don't know if I want to give you $15 million. I might give you $15 million. Do I bring Leon Draisaitl to the team here? He'll be our big free agent signing. I have to give him $15 million. We didn't win a single game last season. Why else would you want to come here? But I give Leon Draisaitl $15 million. We have Jordan Gavin play 1st line center minutes for us alongside Jimmy Hernandez. This is the move. A franchise potential player such as Leon Draisaitl. I have to make this deal right here. Then when it comes to making another move here, do I sign a guy to a 1-year deal and then trade him away? Or do I sign somebody to a multi-year deal? Alright, I think this is going to be one of the guys we keep around long term. And I shouldn't really say long term because it'll probably only be 3 years, then I'll trade him away. But Sam Bennett, I'm going to do $3.7 million for the next 4. I feel like that's a really cheap deal for an 85 overall. And then we can make one more signing here. I'm not really too sure what we should go with. Maybe a backup goaltender. Who's available here? I mean, no guys that I really want. Then again, Adin Hill, $4.8 million. I'll lock you down for say $5.2 million. That's actually not a bad deal. We'll do $5.2 million for the next 4 years. So $5.2 million for Adin Hill. We just saw a couple upgrades to the forward core, a nice upgrade to the goaltending. I think we'll try to make a deal here. I don't really want to give up a ton of draft picks, but if we can do something that makes sense for both sides, I'll definitely do it. So you remember that 1st round pick we got from the Boston Bruins? Well, it has a decent amount of trade value. So I'm going to send it over to the Vegas Golden Knights and we're going to bring in Noah Hanifin. However, I don't know if Noah Hanifin's going to be sticking long term with this team because we actually might be flipping him. A lot of it's going to depend on how difficult of a deal this is to get done. So if I include a 3rd rounder, is that going to be the difference maker? All right, now Noah Hanifin, I'm going to try to send you over to the New York Rangers because then what I'm going to do with Noah Hanifin is I'm going to send him over to the New York Rangers because he fits their trade block. We're going to bring in Kaapo Kakko and Ryan Lindgren. Ryan Lindgren would be a good defensive defenseman for us. Kaapo Kakko, I see the potential with him. I know he's going to develop and he'll be a great player for us. I'll include this 3rd round pick from the Buffalo Sabres and it looks like that's going to be enough to get this deal done. So we brought in another defenseman here. We got another forward to add to the team. The Moncton Tigers are working themselves up to being a competitive team. Yeah, so you remember how we traded for Kaapo Kakko? Well, that turned out to be the greatest move of all time. $3 million for the next 3 years at an 85 overall. Kaapo Kakko was turned to an 85 overall, and I really didn't have to give up that much to get this man. But with that extension done, let's take a look at the team here. Sam Bennett, Jimmy Hernandez, and Leon Draisaitl on the top line. Then we're going to see Holtz, Lindstrom, and Kaapo Kakko on the 2nd line. We're going to have a 69 overall on the 3rd line. The bottom 6 is still looking weak, but look at this defense. Mikey Anderson, John Marino, Timothy Liljegren, Ryan Lindgren. We actually have 4 defensemen here, only 2 0 overalls left. Then when it comes to goaltending, Adin Hill, 86 overall, Stolar, 81. I know for a fact we're not going to be making the playoffs this season just looking at the forward core here, but you know what? I think we might not be dead last. I mean, what am I talking about? We have 5 forwards here. This team's clearly not going to be good. So I think we have to give a round of applause to the Moncton Tigers. Nobody expected this, but a 7-56-3 record. I'm not going to lie, I thought the offense would be a lot better with the addition of Leon Draisaitl and Sam Bennett, but 1.67 goals per game. Yeah, we're basically destroying Leon Draisaitl. He's got himself 46 points so far. Kaapo Kakko on the 2nd line also has 46 points. Sam Bennett 40, but the real question, Jimmy Hernandez, where are you up to this season? 11 goals, 8 assists for 19 points, 62 overall. You're going to start progressing, right? Like, this is a bit ridiculous. A 62 overall. You're playing 1st line minutes. You're playing alongside Leon Draisaitl. Like, I'm expecting a lot more from you. I'm not going to lie. But Jimmy Hernandez, don't worry. We will turn you into a superstar goaltender. Aiden Hill, your numbers are absolutely abysmal here. 2 second rounders from Michael Bunting. No thank you, I'm not doing that deal. Why would I give up 2 second round picks from Michael Bunting, who's on an expiring contract? I have no clue. But yeah, the numbers aren't looking good right now. We're not going to make any trades here. I think it was a good decision keeping Roger McQueen in the WHL. That'll definitely help his progression. So to finish off this season, the Moncton Tigers are going to be dead last. I don't think that's much of a surprise at 8-71-3 record. But next season is going to be different, because next season we're going to have an entire team. We're going to make 3 free agent signings. We're going to make a handful of trades. I'm going to make sure there's no 0 overalls left on this team. Draisaitl 63 points, Kaapo Kakko 52. Sam Bennett, where are you? Still an 85 overall? I was hoping you'd be up to an 87, but you know what? That's just the way of the road, I guess. Jimmy Hernandez, 17 goals, 10 assists, 27 points, only up to a 63 overall. Bro, you gotta start progressing. Like, you have high franchise potential. You should be progressing. I understand that you are playing against NHL players and you're a 63 overall, so it's probably not the best for your progression. You probably should be in the AHL, probably should be in the WHL, but that doesn't matter. We're gonna unlock that potential and we're gonna turn you into a star player. Shout out to the Calgary Flames. They're Stanley Cup champions, sweeping the Montreal Canadiens. That's the last time we see a team that's not Moncton winning the Stanley Cup. I might be slightly capping with that statement, but you know what? We're not even focused on the Stanley Cup right now. You know we are focused on getting the first overall pick and not dropping from 1 to 3. Once again here, we got the first overall. Never mind, we dropped from 1 to 3 again. It just never ends. Alright, so with the 3rd overall pick, we could select this prospect right here. More than likely, he's going to have medium elite potential, but we can't be guaranteed that. We did absolutely no scouting on this guy. So do I pass up on him and get this guy right here? Or maybe even this playmaker right here? We could use a couple more playmakers on the team. I think I'm going to pass this guy up and then draft this playmaker right here, because we do need playmakers on this team. That guy was guaranteed to have medium elite potential. That's what he's going to have. What did the 3rd overall pick actually have? He was an 80 overall with medium elite potential. I mean, that's not the end of the world. We got the guy we wanted. I needed another playmaker on this team, so it fits. Now, would you be surprised if I told you late in the draft there's no good prospects? How could that ever happen? Okay, Arizona, can you not just give me your 2nd round pick? Here's a 7th rounder as well. I really have to give you that lucrative 7th round pick in order to get a 2nd? Ridiculous. So when it comes to expiring contracts, we have a handful of 0 overall players, but none of them are going to be coming back because we're going to replace them with actual NHL players. But Jimmy Hernandez, you're looking for an extension here. And what are you looking for? 2 years at $800K? We can't do that, Jimmy. You need to be on a one-way contract. The fact that you want $1.9 million though is actually kind of wild. You're a 21-year-old, high franchise potential, and you're only a 65 overall. So how about we do 7 years at $1.75 million? I mean, that's a great deal even if you only become a bottom 6 player for us. But Jimmy, you're really looking for $2 million? Bro, you're a 65 overall. I know you're playing first line minutes here, but even still, that's ridiculous. Also, since I don't really want to trade for another goaltender or use a free agent signing on a goaltender, Stolarz here's $2.2 million for 1 season. So after re-signing Stolarz to stay with the team, we do have a couple extensions to give out. We're going to start with John Marino here. Hopefully he's going to be pretty reasonable, and that's exactly what he's going to be. It's going to be 4.8 for the next 4 years. John Marino, that's going to be a great extension for you. And then Kane Lindstrom, I'm actually willing to give you almost anything you're looking for as long as you can do a long-term deal. Almost $10 million on an 8-year deal. I'm not going to lie, that's a bit wild. How about we do like 8.2 million on a 7-year deal? So 8.2 on a 7-year deal, I feel like that's pretty fair for you, especially since you're going to turn into a top player for us. So when it comes to free agent signings, we got to find some absolute steals here. I need some young players that are willing to sign some cheap deals that can play on our bottom 6. I don't really care who you are. Joseph, that's actually not a bad pickup. Jonathan Drouin, you're 31 years old, 83 overall. Do you fit in the bottom 6? It doesn't look like it, but we got to find players like that. Even Barabanov, yeah, he's 32 years old, but if he could fit on the bottom 6, I'd bring him to the team. So this will be our first signing. It's going to be Bukestad, a 3-year deal at $2 million. That's a pretty cheap cap hit. Wade Allison, I believe I could lock you down for a pretty cheap deal here. We'll do 2.65 for the next 3 years. You could be a good 3rd line guy for us. And I bet with a guy like Sam Steele, we could find somewhere on the bottom 6 for you, so I'll bring you to the team. 2.1 million for the next 3. So now that we've made our 3 free agent signings, it's time to make some trades to fill out the rest of the team. Alright, so I have to make something very clear here. This team is going to be good. Not this season, but the year after, 2028. So if I trade this 1st round pick, it's not really going to have that much value once we make the playoffs and win a Stanley Cup. So our 1st round pick for Brandt Clarke, they're going to say no to that, but we just have to include a 7th round pick. This trade seems absolutely wild considering we still have 0 overall players here. However, Brandt Clarke's going to eliminate one of those 0 overall players. We're going to trade for a good defensive defenseman, and then once we do that, our defensive core is complete. This is who our defensive defenseman is going to be. We're giving up 2 6th round picks here. By doing that, our defensive core is complete. We have 2 goaltenders. Now we just need to bring in a couple forwards, and we really don't have to bring in that many. I think only 2. Alright, so Sam Bennett and Kaapo Kakko, both of your guys' trade value's gone up quite quite a bit. So I'm going to ship both of you out over to the Buffalo Sabres. We bring in Jack Quinn. He's going to be a good sniper for the top 6. We're going to bring in Coolidge to play on the bottom 6, and we're also going to bring in Peyton Krebs here. I think by giving up both of these assets, we can get all 3 of those players. They're actually going to be saying no, and the main reason they're saying no to this deal is because I'm giving them multiple forwards. But what if I include a 3rd round pick? Are you willing to say yes? There we go. That's another massive deal complete. Now this is the final trade before we head into next season. 2 2nd round picks for Velarde and 2 3rd rounders. I want to get that draft compensation. I wasn't expecting to, but there we go. The team's complete now. We have an entire forward core. We have an entire defensive core. We have 2 goaltenders. The Moncton Tigers are ready to win. So I guess I wouldn't hurt if we gave Peyton Krebs a deal. So here's $2.75 million for the next 3 years. Yeah, that probably would be useful. Coolidge, giving you an extension would probably also be useful here. So what are you looking for? We'll do $2.1 million for the next 3. Yes, I'm being cheap about that $100K. Now this is going to be a very interesting season because we have a lot of young players here. Roger McQueen, 79 overall. We got this rookie in the last draft. We got him 3rd overall. He's only a 77 overall. But he's got a decent line fit here. We have a really good team on paper. Well, I mean, barring this first line, because we do have 66 overall, Jimmy Hernandez, high franchise potential, reach a 70 by the end of the season. You are going to play with Roger McQueen and Leon Draisaitl here. You can reach a 70 overall. When it comes to the defense, that's absolutely spectacular. 0 weaknesses whatsoever. The goaltending is great as well. Our only weakness right now is the forward core because of all the young rookies. Jimmy Hernandez, although he's not a rookie, he is 21 years old. Roger McQueen, he's a rookie. Kovlax, he's a rookie right now. We have a lot of young players on this team. We just need the young guys to develop and the big time players such as Leon Draisaitl to step up. Leon Draisaitl, I'm incredibly reliant on you this season. Can you pick up 190 points? Please and thanks. So we've made to the trade deadline. I'm happy to say that we don't have to reverse the standings here. The Moncton Tigers have actually shown up this season. We're currently 9th in the entire league, a 36-26-4 record. The offense isn't looking too bad. The defense isn't bad either. And you know what, Leon Draisaitl, I knew you were a great player and all, but the fact that you're this dominant with this team, it's actually a miracle. 85 points, 45 goals, 40 assists, and look at our man Jimmy Hernandez, 37 points plus 18. He's only a 68 overall. Bro progressed. I don't know what's holding you back so much, but you know what? The team's looking not too bad. We're in a playoff spot. We're currently in a wild card spot to be exact. Aiden Hill, 30 wins so far, 3 shots on 9-11 and 278. This team's going to keep on getting better over the next couple years, so I don't think we rush the process here. We're not going to make any trades. We're just going to rock with the team we have. I believe in what we're building. So remember how I was feeling really confident about the Moncton Tigers and we were an amazing team, 9th in the entire league at the trade deadline? Things went bad incredibly quick. 18th in the entire league, a 41-35-6 record. We're not going to talk about what happened. The fall off of the Moncton Tigers has to be studied because that was something special. Leon Draisaitl, 103 points. Roger McQueen, 68. Not going to lie, I was expecting more from you. Jack Quinn, I was expecting more. I was just kind of expecting more from everyone on this team. And then Jimmy Hernandez, bro, where are you? No, seriously, where is Jimmy Hernandez? Where is that man? Okay, I'm so serious when I say this. I thought I was just completely losing my mind and the fact that I can't find Jimmy Hernandez, but that man is actually not here. Jimmy Hernandez has actually just disappeared. He is not on the stats. He's not on this roster anymore. I don't know where bro went. I never traded him. I never sent him down to the AHL. Where is Jimmy Hernandez? I don't even care who won the Stanley Cup. I guess it was the Buffalo Sabres. Where did our man Jimmy Hernandez go? Did he somehow get sent down to the AHL? Why is he in the system? Why is he in the AHL? He played every single game with the team. Where did Jimmy Hernandez go? I have no clue. But he picked up 41 points, 69 overall. Bro, like, what are you doing? I'm actually getting sick and tired of this. You have high franchise potential. Progress. But I mean, I guess there is a bit of good news here. We didn't trade our pick away, so we still have our first round pick. It's not really going to turn into too much. It's only going to be the 13th overall, but at least we're holding on to the 13th overall pick. So with the 13th overall pick, I'll definitely take this, a medium top 4 potential defenseman who's also a 73 overall. So after a couple years of development, I could see him on the team in like 2 years, and it might be a bit of a miracle, but what are we going to be getting here in the 3rd round? A medium league potential goaltender. So what does that mean? This draft right here actually has a bit of depth to it. Who would have seen this coming? We're in the 4th round and we still might be able to get a decent prospect. Never thought I'd see the day. Okay, this is not a great example of what I'm talking about, but we're still going to try to get a decent prospect here. So we're getting another decent prospect later in the draft. Here in the 5th round, we're getting a low league potential grinder. He's only a 60 overall. He's not a gem, so I'm really not expecting too much. So it turns out we actually have to re-sign one guy here, and that's going to be Peyton Krebs, because last season when I offered him a contract, he actually declined that contract in order to accept his qualifying offer. So yeah, we're doing a 3x3 with him. I mean, I would do a 3x3 with Peyton Krebs if he was willing to accept that, so we're going to do $3.1 million for the next 3 years, and Peyton Krebs, you better accept accept that. There we go, Peyton Krebs, welcome back to the team. So when it comes to making moves for next season, we really don't have to do too much. Joseph Wall will give you 1.3 million for the next 2 years and you can be our backup goaltender. But besides that, we're basically gonna run it back with the exact same team. Like even when it comes to extensions, Velarde, you're gonna be getting one of the big extensions here. It's gonna be 3.1 for the next 2 years. That's a really cheap deal for us. It's less than what you're getting paid right now. And then this defensive defenseman, I'll do 1.7 for the next 3. And just like that, everyone's coming back. So the Moncton Tigers look great here. Like the forward core is looking special. The defense is looking absolutely fantastic. The lowest overall being a 79, but 84, 84, 85, 86, 85. That's amazing. Goaltending is great. But I need to apologize about one thing. Jimmy Hernandez, I have not looked at your stats in a very long time, and they are hilarious. So this man is the greatest when it comes to puck skills. 95s across the board. His defense, immaculate. 99 defensive awareness, 92 shot blocking, 92 stick checking. His skating, bro doesn't know what that is. He can't skate to save his life. 49 acceleration, 49 agility, 49 balance, 52 endurance, 49 speed. Bro doesn't know how to skate. His senses, incredible. 99 offensive awareness. This dude knows everything that's happening on the ice. 99 offensive, 99 defensive awareness. It's ridiculous. He's one of the most physical players you've ever seen. 92 aggressiveness, 92 body checking, 92 strength, but he can't shoot. So he has the offensive awareness of a god, the defensive awareness of a god, but he can't skate and he can't shoot. So yeah, considering that this man can't skate and can't shoot, I'll actually take a 41 point campaign. 16 goals and 25 assists is actually very impressive for somebody that can't shoot and can't skate. I don't really know what's going on with Jimmy Hernandez, but you know what? The Moncton Tigers are looking really good this season, and I fully expect us to make the playoffs. A lot of the young guys developed over last season. This season's going to be something special for Moncton. We're finally making the playoffs. Alright, so I'm really contemplating starting a dialogue here. So Jimmy Hernandez, you got franchise potential, and I want you playing on that first line. But can we win with you playing on the first line here? I'm going to be completely honest. A 34, 26, and 2 record isn't the worst in the world, but certainly not the best. We're sitting outside of a playoff spot. Our offense can't score goals this season, and we're allowing way too many goals. So do we move Jimmy Hernandez down to like the third line or something? The goal is about Jimmy Hernandez and watching this man succeed, but bro is doing the exact opposite of that. Where is Jimmy Hernandez? He's got 28 points so far. He's a 74 overall, so I guess he's starting to catch up to that progression, but look at these numbers. Can we really succeed with somebody having these numbers on the first line? I don't think so. We're going to keep Jimmy Hernandez up there, but I just think it might be impossible here. When it comes to the rest of the team, everyone's been a massive disappointment. Like Roger McQueen, how do you have 49 points? Bro, you're playing on the first line with Leon Draisaitl. He's succeeding. He's seeing a ton of success, but you're doing basically nothing out there. Like when it comes to the depth scoring, that's basically non-existent, and I don't really know why it's non-existent. Like we have a lot of high overall players here. Adin Hill, you're doing really good. Joseph Wall, you've been absolutely abysmal. Like bro, you have a 2-9 record, an 877 and a 382. Look at Adin Hill's numbers. His aren't even that bad when you consider everything. But man, Joseph Wall, you've been absolutely horrid. So I guess we're just going to hold off and see what happens this season. Do I make a trade here? Do I not? I'm starting to think it might just be the coach's fault. I want to put a lot of the blame on the coach here because I feel like on paper we have a really good team, but something's just not adding up. So the Moncton Tigers, I would like to apologize. Never doubt the Moncton Tigers. 12th in the entire league. We're in the postseason. Offense what? Defense what? It doesn't matter. We're in the postseason. Leon Draisaitl 102 points. Roger McQueen 72. Yeah, this team was a massive disappointment, but we're a massive disappointment in the postseason. Jimmy Hernandez up to a 75 overall. Bro's about to be an 80 overall in a couple seasons. I can guarantee it. Maybe an 80 overall by the beginning of next season. Joseph Wall, you still completely suck. But Adin Hill, you're all right. No, like seriously, how is Joseph Wall that bad? Like comparing his numbers to Adin Hill's, there shouldn't really be that much of a difference. Like Joseph Wall is an 83 overall backup. Adin Hill's an 85 overall starter, and they have the biggest difference when it comes to goals against and save percentage. But you know what? That doesn't matter because you don't have to worry about Joseph Wall playing any games in the postseason. It's time for Adin Hill to lead us to a Stanley Cup. We've got the Carolina Hurricanes first. Now this is the first time Moncton's made the postseason, so I think we should set our expectations fairly low here. Like really looking at our team, can we compete? We should be able to. Like I feel like our forward core is good enough, but clearly things are not going our way. Game 5 elimination. I mean, to be fair, the Carolina Hurricanes won like 14 more games than us, so we probably shouldn't be able to compete with them. But you know what? We're doing a pretty good job so far. It's a 1-goal game entering the third period, but in the third period it's going to be a massive collapse. Luckily, Bukestad is going to be keeping us in the game here. OT is going to be deciding this one, and Brett Burns, he's going to pick up the OT winner, and we're following in the first round. So Jimmy Hernandez, this is going to be a massive offseason for you. I need you to progress to like an 81 overall. If you get up to an 81 overall, we might be able to win with you. But if your numbers continue to look like they were, Yeah, we can't have somebody that can't shoot or skate on the first line. Okay, so maybe the Moncton Tigers aren't really that bad. We lost in 5 games to the Carolina Hurricanes. Carolina Hurricanes swept the New Jersey Devils. They beat the Toronto Maple Leafs in 5 games, and they swept the Calgary Flames. So they went 16-2 in the postseason, and one of those losses came from the Moncton Tigers. So when you look at things that way, we were actually one of the best teams in the NHL. Yes, I'm gonna run with that completely flawed logic. Now, since Carolina was such a dominant franchise, who cares about anything Jimmy Hernandez? 5 points, 2 goals, 3 assists, 5 points in 5 games, 77 overall. Jimmy Hernandez, he's ready to take over the league. Bro took 17 shots and shot 11.8%, 73 slap shot accuracy, 66 slap shot power, 73 wrist shot accuracy, 66 wrist shot power, 17 shots, 11.8%. Bro, what? So when it comes to the re-sign phase, we really don't have too much to do here. We're just going to re-sign a couple of our young prospects. If you're wondering what happened during the draft, don't ask. It was very forgettable. So we got to re-sign some of our players, and this is definitely not going to be cheap. We're starting with Brandt Clark at $7 million for the next 4 years. Roger McQueen, you're going to be looking for a massive bag here. This is way less than I thought it would be. We're going to do $6 million for the next 4. Yeah, that is way better than I expected. Kovacs is going to be a very similar deal with you. It's going to be 5.8 for the next 4 years. Okay, we are saving a lot of money that I wasn't expecting. Bukestad, we're just going to let you walk. Sam Steele, we're going to let you walk. Wade Allison, you haven't even played any minutes for us, so you're going to be walking as well. And then Aiden Hill and Joseph Wall, I think we're going to get an upgrade in the goaltending department. So as I mentioned earlier, we got to upgrade the goaltending. Kochetkov's going to be that goaltender for us. He's under contract for the next 3 years, 89 overall. He's going to be our star goaltender. And with the defense that we have here, we definitely need a star goaltender. I'm really surprised that a second and third round pick's not enough here. So I guess 2 seconds is going to do it. Okay, this team is bugging. Carolina, the fact that you're not saying yes to this deal is wild. Here's a 7th round pick as well, and that's still not enough. Do I give you a 3rd round pick as well? Like, I feel like this is way too much to give up here. You know what? We're going to change the package a little bit. So how about instead of Aiden Hill, we do Liljegren, a 2nd and 3rd round pick for Kochetkov here. They're going to say no to that. I guess I'll do Liljegren and 2 2nd round picks. And then this should be enough because all these assets are fit in their trade block, but they're still saying no to that. Like, just based on the trade value here, we've offered more than enough. I guess Carolina just doesn't want to say yes, but they will after we give them another lucrative 7th round pick, 2 seconds, 2 7ths, and Liljegren for Kochetkov. Now we can get rid of Aiden Hill because we don't need him. Aiden Hill, I'm going to trade you over to the Philadelphia Flyers, and we're going to get a 2nd and 4th round pick. Never mind, we're just going to get a 2nd round pick here. Now I'm going to flip that pick, because if I trade that 2nd rounder along with one of our young players and a 3rd rounder, we might be able to get Nemec. Now they're saying no to that, but we just have to include a 6th round pick. Like, we're really getting Nemec here because the New Jersey Devils are just not valuing this man. 4.4 million, he's got medium league potential. He'll probably get up to like an 86 overall, and at that contract, that's an absolute steal. Okay, so when we first started this video, the goal was to turn Jimmy Hernandez into the greatest player of all time. I'm starting to think that might not be possible. He is up to a 78 overall, and he still has his high franchise potential, so you never know what he's going to do this season. But just based on these numbers right here, things aren't looking good. Like, bro still can't shoot the puck, and bro still can't skate. In every other aspect of the game, he is nearly perfect. His puck skills, perfect. His defense, perfect. His senses, although his poise sucks and his discipline's not that good, he has amazing offensive awareness. When it comes to his physicals, he's the most aggressive player in the league. He can land the biggest hits, and he has the most strength. The problem is, bro can't skate and bro can't shoot. So this is the last chance he's going to have on the first line. If we have another disappointing season, unfortunately, I'm going to have to drop him down to the 2nd line, maybe even the 3rd line, because we can't deal with this nonsense anymore. Jimmy Hernandez, you got to be bringing home at least 1 Stanley Cup. The defense is looking really good this season. The goaltending's even better. Kochetkov, 89 overall. You got to be the difference maker for us. But Jimmy Hernandez, if this team fails once again, you're taking all the blame. So I'm incredibly disappointed with the Moncton Tigers, and it's not because we have a bad record. We're 9th in the entire league, a 35-22-9 record. The thing I am disappointed about, the fact that we started the season like 20-7, and here we are. We were 20-7 to start the league. We were one of the best teams in the entire league, and then things went bad for us. Our offense is great. The defense is pretty mid, but I think it's Jimmy Hernandez holding us back here. Jimmy Hernandez just isn't good enough. Draisaitl 76 points, Cade Lindstrom 67, Jack Quinn 64. Like, the big time players are performing here, except for Jimmy Hernandez, 79 overall. His role is a 4th line player, so maybe he just can't play on the top line. Maybe he can't show up when it matters most. But I do want to point out the fact that this man is shooting 10%, and these are his shooting stats. Like, bro is still finding the back of the net, and it makes no sense. Like, if anything, I should have just made this man a playmaker, and he'd be the greatest playmaker of all time. But it's the fact that he's shooting the puck is what's hurting him. The bottom 6 also is just terrible here. Like, the bottom 6 is not helping us by any means. But you know what? We're in the postseason right now. We're sitting in a wild card spot, or I think we're sitting in a wild card spot. Kochetkov, your numbers have been really bad. Maybe we should have stuck with Aiden Adin Hill. Like, I'm starting to think we have to give Jimmy Hernandez a lesser role here. I'm not sure if we can succeed if he's our top player. Jamie Drysdale is on the trade block here. We could make a move for Jamie Drysdale depending on what we have to give up here. Like, would I want to trade Brandt Clark for Jamie Drysdale? Not really. But Nemec for Jamie Drysdale? Yeah, it's probably not even possible, so we're not even going to bother. So we're not going to make any moves here. We just have to rock with the team we have. Jimmy Hernandez, I think I have to move you down to the second line, maybe even the third line. You haven't been able to live up to the hype, and it's hurting the team too much. So to finish out the season, the Moncton Tigers were the best team in the NHL, finishing with a 46-26-10 record. And you know what? Jimmy Hernandez, I kept you on the first line. I lied. I said I was going to take Jimmy Hernandez off the first line, but you know what? I said no. Jimmy Hernandez has to be that guy for us, and boy, we see that guy picking up 57 points here, still a 79 overall, 29 goals, 28 assists. How did this team just miraculously start performing really well after the trade deadline? It makes no sense here. Was goaltending different? Not really. I mean, Joseph Woll was a bit better. Kochetkov, you were okay. But how did this team just miraculously turn it around? Maybe Jimmy Hernandez just sat the team down, gave an inspirational speech, and that just completely changed things. Jimmy motivated the team, saying, you know what? I'm a franchise potential star. I might not be able to skate, and I might not be able to shoot the puck. But you know what I can do? Pick up 50 points, score 20 plus goals without being able to skate or shoot the puck. If I saw a player in the NHL that couldn't skate and couldn't even hold the stick, but was somehow able to pick up 50 points a season, including 20 plus goals, that would give me a lot of confidence, and that would certainly motivate me. We got the Buffalo Sabres in the first round here. After going on this little bit of a rant here, you better not get swept. Like, I tried to gas up the Moncton Tigers and Jimmy Hernandez here, but if he somehow loses in the first round and gets swept, ain't no way this is actually happening. Alright, I'll see you guys at the beginning of next season. Hold on, wait a minute. We're making the 3-0 series comeback. Never mind, we're losing in 5 games again. Leon Draisaitl 7 points, but Jimmy Hernandez, unfortunately, it has to happen here. I gotta move you down to the second line. We can't have you playing top line minutes here. Only 3 points in 5 games. It's just not working out here. Okay, I'm not going to lie, this hurts a little bit, but we took Kochetkov away from the Carolina Hurricanes, and they still won a Stanley Cup. Bro, how does that even work? Like, seriously, I want to know who is in net for the Carolina Hurricanes. Like, how did that team just win a Stanley Cup? Like, who is their goaltender? Unless they made a trade or something. Yeah, no, you didn't see that. That didn't happen. We'll just ignore that. So we're actually going to be having a really good draft here because with the 92nd overall pick, we're going to be securing a highly potential goaltender. More than likely, we're going to use this guy as a trade asset because he's going to have a ton of trade value. But that's not the only good goaltender we're going to be getting here because we're also going to be securing this mediumly potential goaltender, 158th overall, and he was also a gem. All right, so when it comes to the re-sign phase, Allison, Steele, Bukestad, all you guys are going to be walking. But most importantly, Joseph Woll, you're going to be walking. I don't know how you played so bad with us over the past 2 years, but I never want you to play another minute for this franchise ever again. So we're moving into next season, and now it's time for us to re-sign the important pieces. Of course, Jack Quinn's going to be one of them. We're going to do $8.8 million for the next 7 years. That's more than enough for him. Peyton Krebs, I don't really want to do more than this. $5.8 million, yeah, I don't want to do that. So we'll hold on to you for this season and let you walk. Velarde, we're probably going to do the same with you. $4.1 million, I mean, I don't really want to re-sign you for more than that. Kulich, where are you going to be looking for? I mean, best case scenario, we don't re-sign you. But if you're willing to accept $2.9 million, then we can keep you around. So we're potentially going to be losing 3 big players here, but you know what? I'm perfectly fine with that as long as we can win a Stanley Cup this season. All right, so we got to fill out the bottom 6 a little bit here, and Riley Marr would be a great player for us. 82 overall, he can play some bottom 6 minutes. We're going to give up a prospect and one of our mediumly potential goaltenders, but we're getting a 3rd round pick back in exchange, so it's definitely worth it. So this is the deal we're doing with our highly potential goaltender. Him, a 2nd and 3rd round pick is going to be sent over to the Calgary Flames. We're getting Stastny. He was just drafted 2nd overall. He's an 82 overall sniper, and he's going to be a great player for us. I'm going to send this package over. They're saying no, but it's because they want that lucrative 7th round pick. Am I really surprised the Calgary Flames want that lucrative 7th round pick? Not really. So of course, with acquiring Riley Marr, we are going to have to re-sign him, but this is a great deal, just a little over $2 million for the next 5 years. That's a great contract, especially for what he's going to provide to the team. Now, before we get into next season, we do have to bring in one goaltender, and I guess that's going to be Tarasov, $1.1 million for the next 2. It's almost impossible for you to be worse than Joseph Woll, so just perform when you're in between the pipes. All right, so Jimmy Hernandez, I was talking about moving you down to the 2nd line, but you know what? You're up to an 82 overall. So the fact that you're an 82 overall, I think you can play on the top line. You, Roger McQueen, and Leon Draisaitl, I'm expecting big things. Then we have 92 overall Kane Lindstrom, 85 Peyton Krebs, and 88 overall Jack Quinn. The bottom 6 is looking great here. We know the defense is fantastic. When it comes to goaltending, we have Kochetkov. But the real question mark on this team is obviously Jimmy Hernandez. He has amazing stats when it comes to everything except for skating. Even his shooting right now isn't bad. He can't skate though. I don't know how much of an impact that affects the simulation, But I think we're about to find out. Now, the team was looking so good, I had to go right to the end of the year. We finally did it. The Moncton Tigers, first in the entire league, a 59-16-7 record. The team's unstoppable right now. We have the best offense, we have the best defense. Draisaitl was him this season, no surprise. 61 goals. Kane Lindstrom was amazing. But look at our man, Jimmy Hernandez, 63 points, 32 goals, 31 assists, 83 overall. He might be able to an 85 next season. He might even pick up some X factors. You never know what's going to happen. And when it comes to the goaltending, magnificent from Tarasov. 9 wins, a 942 and a 170. Look what happens when you have a good backup goaltender. And Kochetkov, elite this season. Unless something stupid happens here, we're going to go on a deep postseason run. We got the Tampa Bay Lightning in the first round. The Moncton Tigers are looking amazing right now, and I can't see this team slowing down anytime soon. So now that I've made those comments, hyping up the Moncton Tigers, what's going to happen here? I think we all know, losing in the first round, but hold on, we have a 2-1 series lead. We got to win game number 4 here. That's exactly what we're doing. A 3-1 series lead. Close it out in game number 5. We're not doing this. We're not blowing a 3-1 series lead. Don't do this to me. We're taking down the Tampa Bay Lightning in 6 games. Moncton's off to the second round, a place they've never been before. So we got past the Tampa Bay Lightning and we're moving on to the second round here. We get to see the Buffalo Sabres, but I'm more concerned about a potential conference finals matchup, as we would probably see the Carolina Hurricanes. Carolina swept the Florida Panthers. That team just keeps on winning here. I'm actually a bit terrified to take them on. But at the end of the day, you know what the Carolina Hurricanes don't have? Jimmy Hernandez. And Jimmy Hernandez, he's the missing piece for the Moncton Tigers. And now that he's a competent player for us, we're winning games here. We split the series so far with the Buffalo Sabres. We've won 3 straight games. Let's make it 4 straight and move on to the conference finals. Give me the Carolina Hurricanes. I'm looking to take on Carolina. I know for a fact it's going to be them. And well, who do we have here in the conference finals? The rematch. The Moncton Tigers and Carolina Hurricanes matching up here. We dropped game number 1, but we're winning back-to-back games after that. Can we win game 4 here and make it 3 straight? Unfortunately not. It's going to be a massive game 5 here. And unfortunately, we're going to be dropping back-to-back games here. Bro, what's this team doing? Like, what are we doing here? What are we really doing? The Moncton Tigers and Carolina Hurricanes, we're picking up the first 2 goals of the game. We have a 2-goal lead entering the third period. We got to hold on to that lead. That's exactly what's happening. Game 7, winners off to the Stanley Cup final. Not only can we get our revenge here, but we can make it to the Stanley Cup final, and that's exactly what we're looking for here. This is the biggest game of the video so far, and probably the biggest game we're going to see in this video. We're exchanging goals in the first period. In the second, Leon Draisaitl is going to keep on scoring goals. Draisaitl, why not pick up another goal in the third? Okay, this man's actually built different. How many goals did he score? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We scored 6 goals and he scored 5. Ain't no way. Alright, so I guess we're making it to the Stanley Cup final because Leon Draisaitl is the greatest goal scorer of all time. Bro really picked up 5 goals in game number 7. In the most important game, he showed up. Jimmy Hernandez, what did you do? Probably not too much. But in the Stanley Cup final, we're winning 2 of the first 3 games. Can we win game number 4 here? A dominant performance. The Moncton Tigers are really about to win a Stanley Cup. 7 goals in game number 5. We really did it. The Moncton Tigers winning a Stanley Cup with Jimmy Hernandez. You'll love to see it. You really do. The team doing the absolute impossible here. And Leon Draisaitl breaking records while he's at it. 20 postseason goals. I believe that's the most all time. 27 points in the postseason. But Jimmy Hernandez, what'd you do? 15 points, 4 goals, 11 assists, 84 overall. Bro is a critical part to this team, and without him, we're definitely not winning a Stanley Cup. Also, Kochetkov, basically perfect in the postseason, a 916 and 250, 2 shutouts. This team's looking to run it back next season. We're going for the 4-peat. We got the exact same team for the next handful of years. This team's ready to dominate the NHL. So right after winning a Stanley Cup, we're moving into the draft, and we're getting an amazing prospect to start with, a low elite potential playmaker starting at 65 overall. I mean, granted, this guy's probably not going to progress in time, but that's still a decent prospect. But you know what? The low elite potential player is not going to be the one with the most trade value. It's going to be this man right here, a medium elite potential goaltender. You already know what we're doing with this guy. He's going to be traded. And then to finish the draft off in the 6th round with the 198th overall, we're getting a low elite potential player here, but he's only a 48 overall. There's no way this guy's going to progress in time. So after winning that Stanley Cup, we're immediately losing some important pieces to the team. Peyton Krebs, I don't think we're going to be bringing you back here. Although you were a great player for us on the second line, I just don't think we're going to do this. You know what? Maybe we are. 4.8 million for the next 3 years is actually not the end of the world here, so hopefully you're going to be willing to accept that. And then Velarde will let you walk here. Alright, I can live with that. So when I originally traded for Nemec, I was thinking he was going to be a superstar defenseman for us. Now he has medium top 4 D potential and is only an 84 overall, so clearly that didn't work out. So Nemec, a first and a medium D potential goaltender, is going to be sent over to the Islanders, and I'm really hoping we can get Dylan Guenther. Now I have tried multiple trades for guys like Dylan Guenther, guys that have similar trade value, and I can never get a deal done. I don't know what it is, but nobody wants to accept these deals. I'll throw a second rounder in. They're going to say no to that. I'll give up a 3rd round pick as well. Please say yes to one of these deals. Why does nobody want any of these assets? We are clearly giving up more than enough to get Dylan Guenther. but they just don't want to say yes. So how about Warren Fogle for Nemec and our medium league potential goaltender? I'm going to send that over. They're saying no. I'll throw in a draft pick that's not our first rounder, so maybe this second round pick's going to be enough. All right, at this point, I am just flipping assets in order to get draft picks because for some reason, teams are willing to accept deals like this. 2 6th rounders and a low league potential prospect for a second and third rounder. This one's not going to get accepted. I'll take the third rounder out, and then we can get the second round pick. Now, the second round pick is going to be thrown into another package. And then what is that trade going to be? Warren Fogle, a second, first, and third rounder over to the Nashville Predators for a medium league potential player. They're saying yes to this deal if we throw something else in. Here's a 5th round pick. We're going to get this deal done, and then I'm going to flip this player. And where is this player going to be flipped? Well, over to the Columbus Blue Jackets so we can bring in Semin, 87 overall defenseman. He still has 2 years left on his entry level contract. The fact that I've had to do so much flipping in order to get this guy right here, absolutely ridiculous. Here's a 4th and 3rd round pick. I don't care what it takes. We got Semin. That's a huge deal for us. It's going to help us when it comes to the salary cap situation for this team because we still have defensemen we have to re-sign. So it turns out Nashville actually has multiple players I want. Now we're picking up Aaron Kiviharju, John Marino, a 7th and 5th round pick are going to be sent over. Yeah, that's an absolute steal for them. But it's also a steal for us because John Marino is asking for like $7 million. So Aaron Kiviharju, I'm going to keep you on this team, but it's going to be a bit expensive. It's going to be $6.3 million for the next 3 years. Mikey Anderson, Ryan Lindgren. I'm not too sure which of you guys are going to be returning. You know what? I don't really care if this guy doesn't have a good fit on our team and he might play some winger minutes this season, but Mika Zibanejad, $6 million for 1 season. You're 37 years old. You got to get yourself a Stanley Cup. Also, I suppose it wouldn't hurt if I gave this guy an extension right here. Kochetkov, you're 7.1 for the next 3. Might be a bit valuable to have him on the team. So it's a glorious day. I don't care about how the team looks. The only guy I care about right now, Jimmy Hernandez. 85 overall with 1 X factor. He did it. He defied all the odds here. He actually has good shooting numbers. He still can't skate, but the shooting numbers look pretty good. Jimmy Hernandez is that man, except he can't skate still. It's kind of wild to think about. There's an NHL player in the league right now that can't skate, and he goes by the name of Jimmy Hernandez. Kochetkov, you're still an amazing goaltender, 89 overall. You're coming off a Stanley Cup, and I think this team has a very good chance at repeating. I'm not making any trades here. We're rocking the team we have, and I know for a fact we're going back to back. So Moncton struggled this season. Yeah, we're 4th in the entire league and finished with a 49, 27, and 6 record, but we are easily the best team in the entire league. And you know why? We started the season 15 and 15. We started the season 15 and 15 and finished with 49 wins and only 27 losses. After those first 30 games, this team was unstoppable. They locked in. They weren't messing around. Draisaitl, 85 points, but Jimmy Hernandez, he's picking up 82. A point a game campaign for Jimmy. You'll love to see it. 38 goals, 44 assists. This man was doing his thing this season. You'll love to see Jimmy seeing success out here. When it comes to goaltending, Kochetkov, he had pretty good numbers. But you know what? The postseason's where you have to perform. And I know you can put up elite numbers in the postseason. We have the Tampa Bay Lightning in the first round. We've been able to beat this team before, but it's a different postseason and things have changed. I mean, at the end of the day, I do believe the Moncton Tigers are better than the Tampa Bay Lightning, so we should be able to get by them, and it looks like that's exactly what's going to happen. We got motion, and I'm not slowing down that motion. A sweep over the Tampa Bay Lightning. We're moving on to the second round, and now we have the Buffalo Sabres to take on. Why not go for back-to-back sweeps here? Let's win a couple more games in a row. All right, things completely turned for us. We lost game number 1, but you know what? We split the series so far. Game 5 is going to be a big one. We can't be dropping that one. All right, we got game 6 elimination. There's nothing worse than game 6 elimination. You never want to be facing elimination. And you know what? We don't have to worry about it because we're locking in. Hold on, wait a minute. We have a 4-2 lead entering the third period. We can't have a massive collapse here. Luckily, we're going to close it out and we got game 7. So we're moving on to game 7. Winners off to the conference finals. We're exchanging goals in the first period. Leon Draisaitl, it's time for you to take over once again. Exchanging goals in the second period. I'm calling it right now. 2 Leon Draisaitl goals in the third period. If he does that, I'll buy a Draisaitl jersey. All right, we don't have to worry about buying that Draisaitl jersey, but shout out to Mika Zibanejad. We're off to the conference finals. So we've advanced to the conference finals for the second year in a row. A chance at a repeat still on the line here. We just have to make sure that we can beat the 4-seeded Detroit Red Wings and then either the 2-seeded Minnesota Wild or the 3-seeded San Jose Sharks. I think it's safe to say that we have the best record left in the playoffs, but the regular season means nothing once the postseason comes around. Clearly the Detroit Red Wings are a good team if they've made it this far, but I don't think they're good enough. A quick 5-game series and we move on to the Stanley Cup final to take on the Minnesota Wild. Now Minnesota, I got to assume they're a great team. They made it to the Stanley Cup final, but they're not good enough. A 3-1 series lead. Can Moncton go back-to-back here? We're going to go back-to-back as long as we don't blow a 3-1 series lead, and we close it out in game number 6 here. A massive 6-1 victory. Moncton's gone back-to-back, but we're going to win 2 more in a row and make it a 4-peat. But out of everything that happened this season, going back-to-back, having a terrible start and making it to the playoffs after finishing 4th in the entire league, this is the best thing that happened to us. Jimmy Hernandez, 15 goals, 10 assists, 25 points, our Conn Smythe winner. Jimmy Hernandez was that man. I mean, Kochetkov was also really good. 16 wins, 2 shots, a 929 and 217. But you know what? It's Jimmy Hernandez. That's the guy the video's about, and he was a star when the postseason came around, and he showed up when he had to. So we haven't made to the draft yet. We haven't gone to the re-sign phase. The salary cap hasn't even gone up yet. But I'm looking at a guy like Mikey Anderson, and at 5.3 million, we could definitely get a deal done here. I'll actually make that 5.4 million for the next 3. And then Ryan Lindgren, where are you going to be looking for? Okay, that is not happening. Yeah, bro is wildin'. So as we know, Ryan Lindgren's not going to return to the team. Octavainen, he's not going to be returning as well. These two guys aren't going to return as well because they're not willing to sign two-way contracts. And I honestly couldn't bother to qualify them as RFAs. I will qualify the mediumly potential goaltender though. And Tarasov, if you want to sign a cheap deal, you can stay with the team. But that's not cheap enough for me, so you're going to be leaving. Alright, so we have 2 years left in the rebuild. We're looking to win back-to-back Stanley Cups here. But the question has to be asked. Leon Draisaitl, are you going to regress too much to the point where we shouldn't re-sign you? You're a 93 overall, 35 years old, but I don't really want to give you $9 million. Now, if you still have a lot of trade value, I'm going to utilize that, and you actually have quite a bit of trade value still. So yeah, Leon Draisaitl, thank you for all the amazing years here, but it's time to trade you away. Alright, so I actually have a really good plan here. Draisaitl, you're going to be shipped over to the Calgary Flames. We bring in Porter Martone and 2 first-round picks. Never mind, it's going to be Porter Martone and 1 first-round pick. Anyways, we're going to get this deal done after I add a lucrative 7th-round pick, because that's what Calgary needs. If they don't get this lucrative 7th-round pick, they won't say yes to the deal, but now we're getting it done. So by making that deal, this is what I'm thinking for lines. On the first line, obviously we have to have Jimmy Hernandez, we're going to have Roger McQueen, and we're also going to have Jack Quinn on that top line. Moving down to the second line, it's going to be Caden Lindstrom, Stastny, and then Porter Martone. That's going to give us an amazing top 6. We'll do a bit of work on the bottom 6, but now that we made the decision on Leon Draisaitl not returning, we have to make sure that we re-sign those 2 defensemen. Actually, I don't even think it was 2 defensemen, it was 1 defenseman and then Stastny. So Semin, I'm going to re-sign you here. Where are you looking for? 12.1 million. Okay, that is quite a hefty contract, but we're going to make it work. So how about we do $11 million for the next 5 years, and then Stastny, what are you looking for? You were only looking for like $9 million or something. Yeah, so we can do 8.4 for next season, then that keeps both of you guys around, and then we'll find some cheap players to fill out the bottom 6 and third pairing defense. So let's work on the bottom 6 a little bit. Kulich and a 6th-round pick over to the Red Wings, and we're going to bring in Stamkos. He's going to be a great playmaker. Ironically, we're picking up a guy named Stamkos that happens to be a playmaker. Who would have thought? Okay, you're really saying no to this deal right here. This is ridiculous. Here's a 5th-round pick as well, and now that I offer this contract over, they're going to say they got an absolute steal. They're not even saying yes to that. Okay, this team is bugging. Here's a 4th-round pick as well. The fact that I'm giving up more here, ridiculous. There's not too much to deliberate on this deal. I think the Detroit fans will think we came out ahead. No crap, you definitely did. Now, it's actually a bit funny we went through all that effort to bring in Porter Martone, because there's a handful of guys we can just bring in on 1-year deals. One of them being Tim Stützle. We have $23 million in cap space. So here's $16 million for 1 season. I'll give you $16 million. That's going to be our final forward slot, and then we'll just bring in 2 really cheap defensemen. Like, I don't really care who the defensemen are as long as they can fill in our third pairing. I'll pay 79 overalls, $1 million to play here. Who is this man right here? I don't care who it is. They might fit on our third pairing. 26 years old, and it's only $900K. Yeah, we can do a 2-year deal. So here's 2 years at $975K. That's an amazing deal. And then let's find another cheap defenseman. Donovan fits on our third pairing, 27 years old, only looking for $1.2 million. Yeah, we can make that work. So just like that, we've completed all of our deals. Let's go win another Stanley Cup. And we'll also do this, by the way. Wouldn't hurt if we had a backup goaltender. Now, since we brought in Tim Stützle, I feel like it only makes sense to have him play on the first line alongside the greatest player of all time, Jimmy Hernandez, who unfortunately has dropped to high top 6 potential, 88 overall with 5 X factors. Jimmy Hernandez, you've gone through a ton of trials and tribulations, but you know what? You're a 2-time Stanley Cup champion, and you're going to finish as a 4-time Stanley Cup champion. The defense is still looking elite here. Obviously, the goaltending is looking fantastic. Everything about this team is elite, and obviously, we're going back to back to back. So after winning back-to-back Stanley Cups, the Moncton Tigers decided, let's do something historic this season. First, with a 61-13-8 record, scoring over 4 goals per game while only allowing 2.4. When it comes to our defense, we were the best in the entire game, and we were the best by a lot. The next closest team was the Vancouver Canucks, and it was a 38 goal differential. We allowed 38 goals less than the Vancouver Canucks. Safe to say the Moncton Tigers are pretty good. Tim Stützle, you were also pretty good, 120 points. Jimmy Hernandez, 111 points. Jimmy's that guy, you'll love to see it. 5 X factors, 56 goals, 55 assists, 111 points. Who would have thought? I never thought I'd see the day where Jimmy Hernandez is this dominant, and I never expected Kochetkov to put up numbers like this. 53 wins, 9 shots, a 919 and 236. This team's rolling on all cylinders. We've won back-to-back Stanley Cups. We're going for the elusive three-peat. We're starting off against the Montreal Canadiens. Everything about this team right now is telling me we're going to complete a three-peat, but we still have to win 16 more games. So we got Moncton taking on Montreal. It should be a sweep for the Moncton Tigers. and it looks like that's going to happen. If we didn't lose game number 3, we probably would have swept this team, but instead we'll just make it a 5-game series. So we've moved on to the second round. Moncton was a nice little warm-up for us, but now we have the Toronto Maple Leafs, so we might as well just move on to the conference finals already, because we're either taking on Tampa Bay or Carolina. We all know we're not losing to Toronto. Like, what are we talking about here? It's the Toronto Maple Leafs. We're not losing to the Toronto Maple Leafs. A 3-1 series lead is going to lead to a Game 5 win, and we're moving on to the conference finals. We got the momentum, and we're not stopping. The Carolina Hurricanes is who we get to match up once again here. We've matched up against Carolina quite a bit, and they're taking Game 1 away from us. Okay, that's a bit concerning, and I'm very concerned in the fact that we split the series. Game 5 is going to be a big one. All right, Moncton. What are you doing? Like, Moncton, I don't think I need to tell you this, but I will. You won 20 more games than the Carolina Hurricanes during the regular season. We won 20 more games than this team, and we're off to the third period to decide this one. We got to show up when it matters most. That really just happened. We allowed 7 goals in an elimination game, going for the three-peat against a team that won 41 games. The Carolina Hurricanes won 41 games. We won 61. I'm sorry, but what kind of a Mickey Mouse Stanley Cup is this? The Anaheim Ducks are making it to the Stanley Cup final. I'll give respect where respect is due. They were a 50-win team, so you gotta respect it. But the Carolina Hurricanes, 14th in the entire league, a team we won 20 more games than. Ain't no way. Tim Stützle, you were pretty good. Jimmy Hernandez, you were amazing as well. 18 points in 16 games. Caden Lindstrom, you did your thing. Like, the forward core was definitely scoring. The goaltending was also really good. I guess Carolina was just significantly better. Because, yeah, all of our numbers were really good. Our offensive numbers were great. Our defensive numbers were great. Our goaltending numbers were great. I guess Carolina's just on a hot streak right now, but that's going to end. They're going to lose to the Anaheim Ducks. One more season to win another Stanley Cup for Jimmy Hernandez. It's time to cap off Jimmy's career with another Stanley Cup. So it's incredibly unfortunate we couldn't win a Stanley Cup there, because now we're going to be losing Tim Stützle. I mean, we all knew this was going to happen. He's looking for $13 million and we have 7. When it comes to everyone else on this team, ideally we do some two-way contracts, maybe even sign some rookies. Like, this guy's up to a 77 overall, low elite potential. We might be able to flip him for something. But yeah, we'll qualify these RFAs, we'll make some trades, and then we'll get ready for the final season. Also, we can keep the backup for $900K for the next 2 years. That's an absolute steal. As long as he's willing to accept that, the team's looking all right. So we got to bring in one player, and then we're running it back with the exact same team. So we have one more season to win a Stanley Cup, so we might as well go all in. 2 first-rounders and a medium-league potential goaltender over to the Anaheim Ducks. We're bringing in an 87 overall sniper. This guy's going to help us win a Stanley Cup for sure. So here we go. It's the final season. Jimmy Hernandez, exact top 6 potential, 89 overall. The fact that he's an 89 overall with 5 X factors but doesn't have elite potential is a bit wild, but it doesn't matter. This might be the best team that we've ever had here. Tim Stützle, he was great for the team. Unfortunately, we lost him, but you know what? We have incredible depth on this team. The defense, I think, might be a bit better than it was last season. Like, everything about this team is amazing right now. Kochetkov, 87 overall. You've been great the past 3 years. Let's make it 4 straight great seasons and 4 straight great postseasons. Because last postseason, you were amazing. We just couldn't come out on top. In the final season of the video, the Moncton Tigers are going to be elite once again. A 61-16-5 record. But this is the perfect way to finish it off with Jimmy Hernandez leading the team in points. He's picking up 103, 64 goals, 39 assists. Jimmy Hernandez has been that man. Roger McQueen was great, Jack Quinn was great, Stastny, Lindstrom, Brandt Clark, everyone's been elite here. When it comes to goaltending, Kochetkov, of course, he's going to be elite. 54 wins, 5 shots, a 910, a 266, and it's time for us to bring home another Stanley Cup. We're going for 3 Stanley Cups in 4 years, starting it off against the Toronto Maple Leafs. That's going to be a nice little warm-up for the boys. So the Toronto Maple Leafs are going to be a nice warm-up for the Moncton Tigers. There is no way that we lose to this team whatsoever. We all know we're going to beat them. There's no way we're blowing a 3-0 series lead. Closing it out in 5 games, Moncton's looking elite right now. And you know what? We got momentum right now. We're not going to stop to look at the bracket. We got the Boston Bruins up next. The way Moncton's looking, I can't see any team beating us. And you know what, Boston? They can't even compete right now. We have a 3-1 series lead. Now let's close it out in game number 5 here. What's going to be happening? It looks like the Moncton Tigers are going to be coming out on top. So let's move on to the conference finals and probably match up against the Carolina Hurricanes. Never mind, it's going to be the Columbus Blue Jackets. And Columbus, they just haven't been able to compete with us. We have a 3-1 series lead. If we win one more game, we're off to the Stanley Cup final. But it doesn't look like that's going to be happening. We have to close out in game number 6 here. What's happening? We had a 3-1 series lead. Now we need game 7 elimination. That can't be happening. Moncton, this is back-to-back seasons. You've won 61 games. You can't be losing in the conference finals once again here. We picked up 3 massive goals here in the second period. We have to close it out in the third period, though, and it looks like we're going to be able to do so. Tolvanen is going to pick up a late goal, but it's not going to be enough. We're back in the Stanley Cup final. So here we go. It's the Stanley Cup final. The Moncton Tigers taking on the Winnipeg Jets. 4 more wins and we're Stanley Cup champions, and all it took was 4 games, a sweep in the Stanley Cup final. It looks like Jimmy Hernandez is going to finish these 10 years off with another Stanley Cup. Like in the big time games when you needed a big time player, who's going to step up? Not Jimmy Hernandez, but Caden Lindstrom, 15 goals, 13 assists for 28 points. Roger McQueen's 21, Porter Martone 21, Jack Quinn 20. All these guys having more points than Jimmy Hernandez, 10 goals, 9 assists for 19 points. He took a bit of a step back here, but Jimmy Hernandez, in those big time moments, we always knew we could rely on you. So the Moncton Tigers are going to finish up with 3 Stanley Cups in their final 4 years, but it's just very disappointing that we didn't get to see Jimmy Hernandez finishing his career off with franchise potential. He started off as a 0 overall player, and I'm actually curious, this man still can't skate. Jimmy Hernandez, the only player in NHL history to not be able to skate. He has elite puck skills, 99s across the board. His sense is incredible, 99 discipline, 99 offensive awareness, 91 poise. His shooting incredible, 95 in accuracy, 90 in power. His defense is spectacular. Yeah, he can't win a faceoff, but everything else is amazing. He's the most physical player you've ever seen, but he's not too durable. But when it comes to skating, this man doesn't know how to do that. He has half a star in skating, 66 in acceleration, agility, balance, and speed, and a 67 in endurance. But this man right here just picked up over 100 points in back-to-back seasons without being able to skate. If Jimmy Hernandez isn't the greatest player of all time, I don't know who is.